She got in at a diner in Howell at almost 10 o'clock at night, with 2 coffees to go and a rolled-up tube of papers under her arm. A woman in her mid-30s, work clothes, but rumpled, end of a long day clothes. The tired that isn't just sleepy, but bone level. She balanced the 2 coffees carefully as she slid in, and she set the rolled-up papers across her lap like they were precious. The destination she gave me was strange. It wasn't an address exactly. It was a road out past the edge of the developed part of town, where the streetlights give out and the houses thin into trees and fields. She read me a set of directions she'd clearly written down. Take 524 out past the farm stand, then there's a dirt road on the right after the second curve. It doesn't have a sign yet. I'll show you. I said, no problem. Can I ask what's out there? Just so I know I'm getting you to the right spot. She smiled, a tired but real smile. She said, my land. We drove, out past the farm stand, past where the town gives up and the dark takes over. She held her 2 coffees and her roll of papers, and she watched out the window like she was checking landmarks. She said, I'm sorry it's so late and so far. I had to come tonight. I closed on it this afternoon. Today, a few hours ago. It's mine as of about 3 o'clock this afternoon. And I couldn't wait until the weekend to come stand on it. I had to come tonight, the day I got it. I said, congratulations. That's a huge thing. Buying land? She said, it's a tiny thing. It's less than an acre. It's not much, but it's mine. She laughed. 8 years. It took me 8 years. I'm a single mom. I've got a 9-year-old. He's home with my sister tonight. Fast asleep. Doesn't even know I'm out here being crazy. 8 years of saving every spare dollar. I drive a 15-year-old car. I have never once been on a real vacation. We don't eat out. And today, I closed on a piece of land, and I'm going to build a house on it. A small one, but ours. She tapped the roll of papers on her lap. These are the plans. Well, they're not real plans yet. I can't afford an architect yet. These are my plans. I drew them, on graph paper like a kid. I've been drawing this house for 8 years. I know where every room goes. I just wanted to bring them out here tonight and stand in the actual spot and hold the plans and, I don't know, make it real. Does that sound insane? I said, it sounds like the opposite of insane. It sounds like the sanest thing I've heard all week. We turned onto the dirt road with no sign. The headlights swung across tall grass and a few young trees, and then a clearing. She said, here, right here, stop here. I stopped. The headlights lit up an ordinary patch of overgrown field. Grass, some weeds, a couple of saplings, the dark wall of woods behind. To anyone else, it would have been nothing. A vacant lot at night. To her, it was everything. She said, would you mind? Could you wait? I'll pay for all of it. The whole wait. I know it's a lot to ask. I just want 15 minutes. I want to walk it. You can keep the headlights on if you want, or actually, could you turn them off? I want to see it in the dark. I want to know what it looks like at night, because I'm going to be living here at night. I want to meet it. I turned off the headlights. The dark came down soft. After a second, my eyes adjusted, and there was more light than I'd thought. A half moon, a sky absolutely full of stars, the kind you don't get back in town. Out here, past the streetlights, you could see the whole thing, the spill of it, more stars than dark. She got out. She left the coffees. She took her roll of papers and her phone for a flashlight, and she walked out into her field. and I watched her do the most extraordinary, ordinary thing. She walked to a spot, and she stopped, and she held up her phone light, and she looked at her papers, and then she paced something off, heel to toe, counting steps. She was pacing out a room. She walked the perimeter of something invisible. She stood in the middle of it and turned in a slow circle. Then she walked a few steps to the side and did it again. Another room, paced off in the dark, in the tall grass, under all those stars. I rolled my window down. I could hear her, faintly, talking to herself. Or not to herself. I think she was talking to the house, or to her son, or to the future. "Kitchen here," I heard her say, soft, carrying across the dark. "Window over the sink, so I can see him when he's out in the yard. His room here, mine here. Little porch on the front." She stood where the porch was going to be. She faced out toward where the driveway would come in, toward the road, toward the way you'd arrive home. And she just stood there for a while, on her invisible porch, on her own land, holding 8 years of graph paper dreams, under more stars than dark. I'm not ashamed to tell you I had to look away. Some moments are too much to watch straight on. She came back after maybe 20 minutes. She got in, she picked up her coffee, which had gone lukewarm. She was crying a little, but smiling, the way you do when it's the good kind. She said, "Sorry, thank you. I know that was weird." I said, "That wasn't weird. That was one of the best things I've ever gotten to be part of, honestly." She said, "I've never had anything that was mine before. Not really. I've rented my whole life. Always somebody else's walls, somebody else's rules, somebody else's name on the lease. I've moved my son 5 times in 9 years, every time a landlord raised the rent or sold the place. 5 times. He's 9, and he's had 5 bedrooms." Her voice cawed. "He's going to have 1 bedroom now, for the rest of his childhood. 1 room that's his, that nobody can make him leave. I'm going to build him a room that's his." I said, "He's a lucky kid." She said, "No, I'm the lucky one. I get to be the one who does it for him. Do you know how long I've wanted to be the person who could do this? My whole life I've been the person things happened to. The rent goes up, you move. The landlord sells, you move. You don't get a say. And now," she looked back out the window, toward her dark field. "Now I'm the person who decides. I decide where the kitchen goes. I decide we're not moving again. Me. For the first time in my life. Me." We drove back toward town in a comfortable quiet. As the streetlights came back, as the world filled back in with gas stations and traffic lights, she rolled her papers back up carefully and held them in her lap. I dropped her at the diner, where her own old car was parked. She paid, and she tipped more than she should have. I tried to wave it off, and she wouldn't let me. And I understood by now not to take a person's chance to be generous. So I let her. She got out. Then she leaned back down to the window and said, "Hey, when it's built, it'll be a year, maybe 2. I have to save up to actually build it now that I own the dirt. But when it's built, if you're ever out past the farm stand, there'll be a little house there with a porch. That'll be us. You helped me meet it. I wanted you to know that." I said, "I'll look for it." She said, "There'll be a light on." And she got in her 15-year-old car and drove home to her sleeping son. Here is what I think about now. There's a particular kind of person the world spends years pushing around. The renters, the movers, the people who never get a say, the ones things happen to. 5 bedrooms in 9 years. The rent goes up, and you pack. The landlord sells, and you pack. You start to believe that's just what life is, a series of other people's decisions that you have to absorb. You start to believe you don't get to decide anything. And then, sometimes, against long odds, after 8 years of driving a beat-up car and never taking a vacation and saving every spare dollar, one of those pushed-around people claws their way to a single patch of dirt that nobody can move them off of. Less than an acre, out past where the streetlights give up. And it's not the south of France. It's a weedy lot in the dark. But to her, standing on her invisible porch under all those stars, it was the top of a mountain. From up there, everything that had pushed her around for 35 years, the landlords, the rent, the 5 moves, the no say, all of it looked small. Looked like ants from way up there. She'd climbed up out of all of it, onto her own little piece of high ground, and she could finally look down at the thing that used to look down at her. That's what owning your own ground does, I think. It's not really about the dirt. It's about getting to be, finally, the one who decides. The one who says, here, this is where the kitchen goes. This is where my son's room goes, and we are not moving again. I drive past the farm stand sometimes, out on 524. I look for the little house. It's not there yet. Last I checked, the lot was still just a lot. Tall grass and saplings and dark woods behind. But I know it's coming. I know there's a woman somewhere saving up the next pile of money, drawing and redrawing a house on graph paper. And someday, a year, maybe 2, there's going to be a small house out there with a porch and a kitchen window over the sink and a boy with a bedroom that's finally his. And there's going to be a light on. She told me there would be. I believe her.